I can't tell if I love or hate 86. On one hand, it's this mature, complex story about the realities of war, but on the other, it shoots itself in the dick every other episode for what I can only describe as the animes. Let me show you an example. The main character, Lena, gets to eat all these fancy sweets, which shows just how different her world is from that of the 86. It's a constant reminder that she lives in complete safety and luxury while they die fighting her battles outside the walls. Okay, good, simple writing. Inside the walls, cake. Outside the walls, no cake. It's a brilliant juxtaposition that's made stronger by all these conversations she has with her doctor friends while eating these sweets about how she shouldn't worry too much about the things she can't change. But then it kind of ruins this a little bit by telling us that real sweets rather than synthetic foods are a complete luxury even for her. Like, what? Why? But if that's where this metaphor stumbles, what holds it down and shoots it in the back of the head is the part where the only apparent reason they did this is so she could be like, "Pudding, let me see my boobies go bingle bangle," which just fucking kills this completely. I mean, she's even supposed to be this rich heiress, and so to have her react this way is just like, what? No, stop, why? I mean, you can almost smell the conflict going on in the writer's room between the guy who wanted the mature story with interesting metaphors and the guy who just wanted boobies because he thinks quality is a number measured by the titty bounces in your anime. And nowhere is this more apparent than the third episode, which opens with the boys spying on what I can only describe as a mostly clothed swimsuit scene. Like, it has a surprising amount of restraint here, and you can pretty easily picture how this conversation went between the writers. We need to have a swimsuit scene with, like, lots of titties. What? No, this is a serious story. No one will watch. Okay, but what if they're clothed? That will never do. Okay, one person can have some titties. Okay, but they have to be, like, huge. Okay, but top boob only. Okay, but they need to bounce, like, a lot. All right, shit. Titties! It's like watching Dr. Anime and Mr. Weeaboo play out in real time over the writing. It's fucking wild. So in the end, this scene comes out an extremely cringy exposition dump, but with cleavage, and every time this shit happens, it gets harder and harder to take 86 seriously. And that's extremely frustrating because literally the very next scene is this extremely well-written dialogue from one of the 86, reminiscing about seeing shooting stars on the battlefield, and it's a fantastic way to fill us in on the world, the issues, and the characters' relationships naturally. This is what good writing looks like, not a cringy pseudo swimsuit scene about girls gushing over hunky boys in the way a guy who has literally never once seen girls gush over hunky boys would imagine. This is followed by yet another great scene where they show that they all call the cat whatever they feel like at the time, which is a brilliant way of illustrating how soldiers have to live life from moment to moment because they could each die at any second, and then they randomly call Lena a virgin. Titties! No, Mr. Weeaboo, this is some serious shit. Titties, we need to see titties. This all happens in the same episode. Like, how is the writing this inconsistent? Like, holy fuck, dude. Sure, this would have been saved by the conversation that follows if this were any other medium, but because it's anime, I literally cannot take this shit seriously because I know exactly why that line is in there. It's like Dr. Anime is all up here trying to write this masterpiece, but Mr. Weeaboo keeps coming out like, boobies, we need to see boobies. Racism is my segue into my next point about racism, which is like kind of well written, but also kind of shits its pants every fucking episode. So in the beginning of the second episode, Lena waltzes into the new recruit classroom and spills the beans about the world and how they say there's no casualties in war, but that's just because the soldiers aren't considered humans because they don't have silver anime hair, and how that's totally bullshit. And then when the professor interrupts her and says she can't talk about this after she's been literally going on for, and I counted, a full fucking minute, and then the students are just like, no they aren't human, and she's like, yes they are, and that's And that's literally the entire discussion. Obviously they're supposed to be wrong, but they literally don't make any arguments for them being different. Let me play out exactly how this scene goes. These are robots. No, they're human. Yeah, but they're actually not human. It says right here and stuff. No, like they totally are human and stuff. Have you ever seen them? Yeah. Oh, okay. Like, what the fuck? And this is where the anime started to lose me a little bit. I mean, the whole racism thing is an interesting set of ideas, if a little cliched. But when no one in the story is able to form coherent thoughts about their ideals, that's when I tune out and decide I'd rather just rub one out to the dojins instead. Like, is everyone a fucking moron incapable of reasoning or what? Like, it's not that hard to write. Just try and think about why someone would actually believe this shit. But the writers seem completely incapable of doing that. Almost like they actually do think silver-haired waifus are better. Silver-haired waifus. I too think silver-haired waifus are genetically superior. Here's the thing about stories. You can't just have smart ideas. You actually need to have a coherent understanding of them in your story. It's like listening to a bunch of 14-year-olds' ideas about sex because they found their dad's Playboy magazines once, but it's also like, there's this one normal 25-year-old dude there, and it's like, okay, yeah, I hear what you're saying, it's just, why are you hanging around all these 14-year-olds? And he literally doesn't know, and it's like, I'm not saying 14-year-olds are stupid, just maybe you guys shouldn't be friends, okay? And you can see these constant glimpses of brilliance in the writing, but the show just keeps fucking it up. There's this bit about how maybe Lena doesn't totally see the 86 as human because if she did, she would have asked them their real names, wouldn't she? And it's like, yes, she would if she'd known them for more than like a week. Like, what the fuck? They're soldiers she just met. Is that not how she was treating them? What? I mean, it's a pretty major plot point that one of the first things she asks Undertaker is what he wants to do after the army. This is not something she would have asked him if she didn't see him as a person. And so then later she's just like, oh yeah, I guess I don't totally think they're human. And her doctor friend is like, oh yeah, you totally don't think they're human. Hey, have some pudding. And like, everyone just accepts this idea that she should have asked them their names. And it's like, what the fuck? How are none of the characters aware of how human relationships actually work? What is wrong with all of you? You are this close to a breakthrough, weren't you, Dr. Anime? And I think the obvious problem here is that the writers were just not at all on the same page. Like, at the end of the third episode, yes, again, the third episode, wow, there's a lot going on there, LMAO. One of the characters dies and it starts playing this sad, powerful music and tries to make it this emotional, tear-jerking moment, and this is just wrong. See, we just met them and it's really early and it doesn't give the characters any room to breathe, so we don't have a real reason to feel sad here. But that doesn't mean this scene shouldn't be here. It just has a completely different kind of weight. It's the knowledge that Lena is jumping into this role in the middle of a war and it's suddenly real, and she realizes that it's a place where people die, not this comfy little castle with pudding and cake that she lives in. And the fact that the anime doesn't seem to understand its own writing is exactly why I keep bringing up Dr. Anime and Mr. Weeaboo here. Like, there's all these really heavy scenes where it just stops to take extremely gratuitous shots of Lena's very sexy legs, and it's like, silver hair waifus. And it gets really hard to take the story seriously with the camera staring at her thighs and her crotch as she's bent over in despair. And I'd complain more about this, but the bigger problem is that for every scene like the fireworks scene where she's able to share a passion for the simple joys of life, again, very simple, intelligent writing, there's something like the shower scene. This I really don't fucking get. With the laundry scene, it was supposed to be this goofy, lighthearted bit with all the girls playing around, and sure, it was gratuitous and boring, but at least it was coherent. In the shower scene, the camera is just obsessed with showing us their tits. And it's like this close to being actual pornography, and here they are having this deeply intimate and personal conversation. Like, I get putting the scene in the shower since the point is to show us this mark on her back that she's been covering with her long hair. I don't think it's necessary, but I get it. But did they have to show us this much fucking titty here? No, it's serious. Like, their hearts and titties are bare. Titties! I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I didn't jerk off to this, but that doesn't mean I can still take this shit seriously. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Who directed this, and what the fuck is wrong with you? Okay, Mr. Ishii Toshimasa, I see the problem. He's worked on some of my favorite anime, Space Brothers, The Promised Neverland, Your Lie in April. By the way, you all need to go watch Space Brothers. You just stop, go. Just finish the video first, but like, go. Like, watch Space Brothers. But this is his first project as director. This explains a lot. He clearly at least kind of knows what he's doing, but is trying to put everything in the kitchen sink in, and it's coming out equal parts absolutely genius and complete garbled fucking mess. Now, I hope the fans don't write me off as a hater, because as I hope I'm making clear, there is a lot I like about the show and its writing, like a fucking lot. Like a lot. When it's able to take itself seriously, it seems to have a pretty strong grasp on its subject matter and is honestly pretty compelling. It's just that being an anime fan is kind of infuriating sometimes, because a lot of shows feel like they need to justify their own existence with something other than, you know, the fucking story they're trying to tell. This is why Steins Gate is so absolutely brilliant. It has fan service, but it knows exactly how that fan service fits in the story. Same with My Dress Up Darling. It's a story where they can not only write fan service in, but use it for emotional impact. Whereas in 86, it's like, stop! This is a show about war and oppression and racism, and so what is all this shit doing in here? This doesn't make them more human, it makes them more waifu, and it knows it. This is everything wrong with modern anime, the complete lack of confidence in the ability to just tell us a fucking story. But you know, towards the end of part 1, it almost seemed like all the bullshit was finally starting to cool down. I mean, there were some hacked out bits, like the part where they visit an actual Japanese school, and it's like, maybe not quite as surreal as that scene in Monster where Dr. Tenma explains where the name from Oyakodon comes from, you know, in Japanese.
それで親子丼?
信じられないセンスだな、日本の料理は。
But you see those kanji hung on the wall? Those say peace and future, which is, and I'm being extremely generous here, a little fucking blunt. But also there's shit like this shot of a rock being kicked towards the camera, which is just extremely cool. And then we get to part 2. Oh dear God, part 2. It starts off inoffensive enough, if again, a little hacked out. Like, this is literally just Japanese Christmas minus the Kentucky Fried Chicken, which is just really starting to stretch how believable the world is. You're telling me they all have cell phones, and yet they literally don't know whether or not other countries still exist. Huh? What? All right, yeah, sure, no, totally, dude, yeah, totally. But then, and this is what completely killed the show for me, it just pulls a lolly out of its fucking ass and is like, hey, I know you were just watching a mature and complex story about war, but, and hear me out, how do you feel about watching the most tired, generic lolly shit you've ever seen for the next 12 episodes? Like, why would I want that? Who would want that? Sure, whatever, part 1 already made me put up with a lot of bullshit, so just as long as you don't go over. And she's the main character now. Oh, dear God. Oh, you have to be taking the piss, dude. It doesn't even try to do anything original with her. It's literally just the dumbest, most generic lolly they could have possibly come up with. Take any scene with her, and I guarantee you I can find an identical scene from Steins Gate Zero. The only different thing it even tries to do is have her talk like an old man, and that's not even original. Future Diary did that 10 years ago, except there, it was actually brilliant because Murmur was a secret evil demon. Yes, I'm saying Mirai Nikki was actually smarter than this shit, because here it's meaningless and gets old in about 15 seconds. It's not cute, and you can go fuck yourself if you think it is. I don't even want to talk about any of the other shit in the second half. I mean, there isn't much I can talk about unless someone can tell me she fucking dies in episode 16, because while I'm sure there's at least as much intelligent writing as there was in part 1, that's where I decided I couldn't take any more of this fucking shit. They even gave her superpowers. Like, what? Where was this earlier? I mean, Undertaker kind of does, but it fits in with the whole ear thing that literally every character has. With the lolly, they're just like, yeah, she totally has superpowers. Isn't that cool? No? Was I the only one paying attention to this story so far? It's like they're barely even trying. The reason the 10-year-old gets to be in the army, and this is literally the actual reason, is that there's a tradition that having a little girl eat and sleep with the troops makes them more willing to risk their lives. That's the best you could come up with. Really now. Okay, the president dude even said something that specifically contradicts this like 2 episodes prior. You're telling me they actually just put little girls in danger in order for the army to protect them. That's literally the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in anime, like ever. And remember, I've watched Mirai Nikki. The characters even talk about how dumb this is, so let me get this straight. The lolly is stupid and annoying, the reason she's there is dumb, and the show acknowledges both of these things and then proceeds to make her the main fucking character. Eat shit, 86. And here, once again, we've arrived at the heart of my thesis. This is everything wrong with modern anime. They just have to cram random shit in there because for some reason, some Japanese weeaboo somewhere needs to be able to jerk off to it, or it doesn't count. This is actually the dumbest shit I've ever seen, and it's impossible to take the story seriously when it refuses to even take itself seriously. There are so many anime out there that just refuse to stand on their own 2 legs and instead shoot themselves in the dick every goddamn episode just to appeal to the lowest common denominator, the smelliest of smelly weeaboos. Imagine you, but 10 times smellier and more degenerate, and that's who this shit is made for. This is not art. This is thinly veiled pornography, and the less of this shit we have, the better. If you want an anime that properly explores the horrors of war while still providing fan service and, bafflingly, stars a 14-year-old girl, go watch Violet Evergarden. The thing with Violet Evergarden is I would have never guessed that she's supposed to be 14 if the story didn't tell me because it's not wrapped up in some dumb fucking lolly shit. I mean, I'm pretty sure the only reason she's 14 instead of, say, 17 or 18 is because that'll help some weeb in Tokyo rub one out to it, but it doesn't affect the story in the slightest. And that's kind of my point here. So, if you can't tell, I started writing this after watching part 1, and midway through part 2 is where I decided that I hate it. I hate 86. I hate it with a passion. Part 1's bullshit was excusable, and merely spilled a few drops of piss over an otherwise really, really, really good anime. Part 2 is absolutely fucking not. Fuck you, 86. Suck my dick. You're not a bad anime, but you're something even worse, and that is why I hate you. Somewhere buried amongst your disgusting pile of lolly porn and discarded tissues is an absolute masterpiece, but you refuse to let me enjoy it. You suck, and I want to pour gasoline on you and light you on fire because you're a disease on anime that we need to stop from spreading. With every passing day, we stray further and further from the light, and that is why we need me, King of Weeboos, to bring enlightenment to the unwashed masses. If there are any other anime that need to be purged, do leave a comment and we can talk about it. And do me a favor, please step on the like button. If you enjoy this kind of unhinged rant, you might enjoy my video where I trash on isekai, particularly ReZero, but if you're a ReZero fan, don't watch that because you will absolutely fucking hate it. Instead, go watch my video on Mushoku Tensei, which is about how to be less of a smelly weeb. That might be for you. The choice is yours, but either way, thank you so much for your time, friends, and I will see you in the next video.